Did you see he muted us because he doesn't?
Yeah, yeah. He muted us. They muted us because they don't trust us to shut up, which is actually, I relate to it. I understand.
Well,
I
I
understand.
want to give a shout out here to the New York mover. Thank you, Joe Sabone, for my hat and for all the swag that you gave to J. Phillip Real Estate for our company gala and for the possible COVID exposure. Just kidding. But seriously, I do love the hat. And anybody who would like me to wear their swag or for Jill, for Phil to drink out of their cup. Oh, my handsome friend Christian Babcock. I'm drinking out of my Big D cup. So we are cheap and we like free stuff. So we will pimp out your products.
My friend Elizabeth Ramsey Golden down in Huntsville, Alabama, gave this to me years ago. And it's hard to see, but there's a slight purple hue to the mug.
All right.
And I rather like it. I
Yeah.
rather like it very much. So we're really in the deep end of the pool here, talking about other companies' swag. But I have a feeling we're going to get deeper. Is that safe to say?
Well, yeah, we like to get deep, right?
What are we going to talk about today? You mentioned.
Yeah, highest and best is something that's been bugging me. I mean, why do you think it's doing a seller any service that when you put the listing on, you already decide you're going to highest and best by Sunday at 7 p.m.? Because I can tell you this, not everybody wants to be in a bidding war. You may have just scared off. Oh, my Brooklyn came out. Did you hear it? You may have just scared off your best buyers. You are putting a process in place, assuming that everybody will work that way. Well, it's not the case.
Okay, so this is going to be very much like the old Dan Aykroyd, Jane Curtin point counterpoints, because this is an area where you and I are not eye to eye on this. But I will say this. Highest and best should not be the knee jerk for every time there's multiple bids. But more often than not, it's hard for me to make an argument against it. So why don't you tell me why you think it's not always a good idea or seldom a good idea? When should you do highest and best? Let me ask you that.
When you have very similar offers with very similar terms. Multiple.
Okay.
But if you have
I list
two offers, if you have only two offers and one is $25,000 higher and 20% down, or I should say 25% less, 25,000 less and 20% down, and then you have 5% down. Yeah. So they're not similar. That maybe should be highest and best.
Okay. So like I said, let's tease out this scenario. I list a property. Let's just say for the sake of argument, it's $500,000. I list it Monday, a few showings. Wednesday, we get our first offer. Okay. Full price because it's the way the market is right now. They came in, they're offering full price. Okay. We like the offer. The seller wants to accept the offer, but we've also got 10 showings scheduled for the coming weekend. The seller takes our advice and decides, before we make a decision, we're going to have everybody get a chance to take a look at the property, which we're on the same page with so far, right?
Yeah.
Everybody that wants to see the property should have a reasonable chance of seeing it. I mean, it's really baloney when it says sold and it's not even 8 hours on the market. That's baloney. Okay. So the weekend comes and goes. It's now the next Monday morning. We're only a week on the market and we've got the full price offer from that Tuesday or Wednesday. Now we have a couple of offers. Now we've got a couple of offers. And like you said, they're all fairly similar. Full price, maybe 505. We got a cash offer, but it's less than asking. What do you do? What would you do? I'm your seller. Like Jen, we have all these offers.
Cash offer less than asking.
Yeah, we got a cash offer for $480.
Right. All right, and then the other one is full price. What's the difference between the cash and the
Tell you what, we've got a full price with 20% down. We've got a 505 with 10% down, and we've got another 20% down at 495, 498, whatever.
Okay. And the actual ask is
500, 500 even.
Yeah, I'd probably explain to the seller that the cash is the best as far as terms go and as far as the concerns about an appraisal. And I'd probably see if the seller would like to go directly to the cash offer and tell them exactly where they need to be to have the deal.
Okay, so you could go to you would advise the seller to go to the cash offer and say,
I would educate.
Full price, it's yours. Full price, it's yours. That's our counter. We've got other offers on the table. We like cash, but it doesn't change the math.
No, but it changes the appraisal concerns, which is the biggest concern right now.
While we're talking about it, this is something to put a little earworm to put in the cash buyer's ear. The fact that you're paying cash does not change the math.
Oh, of course not.
Sometimes we get a baloney offer in everything but terms.
Absolutely.
And they say, but it's cash.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, after it's underwritten, it's cash as well. So, okay. So you'd go to the seller and advise them, let's go to the cash offer and tell them.
Let's reword this. I would educate them on all the offers and hope that they would conclude that let's see if we can get the cash to be exactly, at our ask price. I don't always trust these over ask price offers. They often change their mind and get buyer's remorse after
right.
Come back with a laundry full of lists, after their inspection to renegotiate stuff that was obvious on a showing even. So, that's how I feel. So I feel when you go to highest and best, you lose your own right to negotiate each and every deal on its terms.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, you'd educate the seller on the lens you see this through, and advise them that probably the play to make is to go to the cash offer and tell them what number you want. Simple counter offer to the cash offer. Okay.
And probably also anybody who had, at least 20% down, but was under ask.
Okay. So there are people who are watching this, at least I hope there are people that are watching this, whose heads would explode. And they are under some sort of opinion that there's like a rule that you have to go to highest and best.
It's crazy.
Because they're so used to it.
Yeah, but
they're so accustomed to it, they almost think it's like the rule.
Right,
and it's not a rule.
Think about their own client. This is not to make friends in real estate.
No. This is advocacy. You got to pick sides, and the side that hired you is the side you better pick.
Exactly. I just don't feel that this blanket. And Phil, I opened up this conversation with, they listed the property, and at the same time they listed the property, they said, we're going to highest and best on Sunday at 7 p.m. They already.
That is presumptuous. It's presumptuous. And really could bite him in the ass.
And putting a seller in a corner that they might not might not need to be in. That's all. Right, so I'm not saying that never go to highest and best, but
I hear you. All right. So in that circumstance that we just drew out, I am with you. It would probably be valid to go to the cash offer. However, we are in a changing market, and we're seeing a crazy dynamic where some houses are selling for $10,000 and $20,000 and $30,000 and $40,000 over asking. And a case could be made that the seller loses out on the opportunity to get that extra 10, 20 grand because you don't have that bidding war. You just, yes, you spoon-fed the counter offer to the cash buyer, and it's secure. It's very, very low risk.
Well, and it would depend on the seller's motivation. If they really if they want to take the risk, and as long as you're explaining it to them, But
Right.
you still might want to, before you go into highest and best, see where the offers with the strongest terms, see if you can get them up as high as you can before doing that, because they may not submit a highest and best.
That sounds an awful lot like highest and best, though.
No, not without creating the line across the thing.
It's not a blanket, everybody, we're going to highest and best, but it sounds like you're going to some of them and saying, give us your best.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, well, you want our highest and best?
Your
Like,
terms,
no, just give us your best.
give us your best. It's not final by Sunday at 5 p.m.
All right. Okay.
Stay there if you decide to open it up to everyone. But I just think you really risk alienating some of the stronger offers, because and it is because cash buyers are cocky. But you can't rely on their buyer's agent to educate them on just that one real difference in the appraisal, and also with contingencies, not worrying about contingencies not happening and a deal falling through. There's so much more that it's much easier to get out of a deal that is subject to financing, even outside of appraisal, than it is a cash offer.
Okay. Now, I'm with you so far. You're making a lot of sense. Okay. I say that begrudgingly. Let me just tease this out just a little bit more. You and I are both producing brokers.
Mm-hmm.
We take listings. We still have a sphere of influence. Blah, 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 blah. All right. Have you, in the last year, gone to highest and best on any of your listings?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have.
Oh, that was a yes. You said yes?
Yes.
Okay. Because you were kind of like,
Sorry. Yes.
You didn't want to admit it. Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't mind admitting it. There's times when it makes sense. It just doesn't always make sense.
There are times when it makes sense. So you're saying, your point is, it should not be a knee-jerk, formulaic, this is what we do, because it's almost like statute. Yeah. And you're already starting with highest and best, and the thing isn't even live on the market yet. We don't even have offers yet, and they're already at highest and best.
Right. I'm also going to assume that they didn't sort of cherry pick the best ones and try to finesse them to an end result, as opposed to throw them into, the Jenn pop of the offers.
All right. So now there's something we have to point out here.
Yes.
All right. And it's related to, we're not here to make friends. Okay. There's something we have to point out here. What you are saying doesn't sound fair. Just work with me here. What you're saying doesn't sound fair. But are we hired to be fair to the other side, or are we hired to advocate zealously for the seller that hired us?
You know where I stand on that.
Yeah, we are. So this is what people need to understand. Whether or not I go to highest and best more often than Jenn, that's you there. I went like that, but then I was pointing at my little Buddha. Want to see my little Buddha?
Mm-hmm.
It's my little Buddha.
Ah, thank you.
And you put the incense thing, and it looks like a little waterfall.
It's cute.
Yeah, thanks. That's all you'll see of my office right now. Okay, so you are saying you go to highest and best less than I do, but we're not in this to be fair. There are times when buyer agents will say, but that's not fair. That's fairness. It's not written into any of our fiduciary responsibilities to the one that hired us. And fairness is not the obligation of honesty to customers and people that are not our clients, right?
Well, transparency and all that, yes, we still need to be open, honest, and transparent. But
Code of Ethics says honesty.
Right.
Honest, fair and honest. Oh,
Yep.
fair. Oh. No, I just think it's honest.
Well, but fair is that's what's fair to my seller. I only have to worry about what's fair to my seller.
I think you have to disclose to the other side what the seller's wishes are.
Yeah, of course.
And you do not need to level the playing field for all the people that are on the other side of the transaction. I'm talking about buyer agents. I'm talking about the consumers that are on the other side. Only one person gets to live in the house. It's not a commune. We're not going to share the house. Only one buying party gets to live in the house, gets the property.
Right.
All right. So fairness is extremely subjective in this context.
Yeah.
We do not have obligation to go to highest and best with everybody. All right. So let me tease this out a little bit more. All right. So you've often positioned yourself as the anti-highest and best person, but you have admitted that you have walked on that side of the street. You've played on that team.
But
okay
the answer goal is different.
No, Jen, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay to experiment a little bit.
No,
okay.
but even how they deter, so they go to highest and best, and then they make their seller think whichever, you know, they don't even explain what highest and best actually means. It does not mean
highest and final.
Right. They can still pick another offer, even if it wasn't, it's not.
It is at this point that we have to point out an uncomfortable truth. Highest and best is not highest and final, but the uncomfortable truth is this. Until the contracts are signed by all parties and the escrow check has cleared, it's still anybody's game.
Exactly. And then what are you gonna, because you don't want to insult somebody, like you're not gonna present an offer to your seller because you're gonna piss off the other agent? No, you have to present it.
You have to.
You say to seller, oh, but we told them highest and best. We can't, you know.
No. Even if we have to present the offer, even after highest and best, because people get back from vacation, people weren't able to get out there. Somebody, their internet was down. Whatever happens. Okay, so all right, so we have, for want of a better term, we've accepted, whether we did highest or best or not, we've accepted the cash offer. The cash people came up to asking. All right. They do their inspection. They find a couple of issues. Their argument is going to be, we want you to address these issues because if you don't address them with us and we walk away, you have the obligation of disclosure with, you're going to have to handle this with whoever else is behind us. Right? They're going to say that. And we can say to them, we don't want to have to do it. And if you're not, thanks for telling us what our problems are. But if you're not going to take the house as is, or if you're going to hold us for ransom to fix some GFCI outlets, we'll just go to the backup offer. It's really okay. The whole point of cash was that it would be headache free. So if you're going to start acting like the bank, we'll just go to the guy who's actually using a bank.
Right.
Right. Okay. Now, so so while we're haggling with the cash people, somebody else comes along and they offer $540, all right, with full appraisal protection. They understand, look, we have to have this house, Aunt Ethel had an aneurysm over the weekend. We couldn't get up there to see the house, but we just saw it Monday night. We understand you've accepted another offer. We understand they've done their inspections. We understand maybe contracts are going to be going out soon, but we're going to throw a Hail Mary. $540, full appraisal protection. And here's our pre-approval from Loan Depot. So you know that it'll close. You know that it'll be underwritten by a legitimate lender.
Big D.
By the Bobcats of mortgage loans, Loan Depot and Christian Babcock.
In the female world, it's Cheetah. The Cheetah.
The Cheetahs, is that right? I didn't know that gender was assigned to these things, but so what are you going to advise your seller now?
I would probably advise my seller to go to the original cash offer and give them the opportunity to match where we're at. And then if it was subject to inspection, I would tell the second offer that I would educate my seller so they would understand the risk of moving forward with the second offer if they haven't done inspections. And I would tell the second offer that you have 24 hours to get your inspections done. And we cannot accept your offer until the inspections are done. And then I would tell my seller that the right thing to do is if the first buyers do not come up, the right thing would be to reimburse them their inspection money. And that I would be super careful and wait and see what happens with the second buyer's inspection and then take it from there. But I would not kill the first deal.
Okay, so I'm going to play devil's advocate with you again. I'm the buyer's agent on the Hail Mary people with the 540, and I'm going to say, now we're not scheduling an inspection until we know we have an accepted offer.
They do it every time. I just had one with highest and best because they're all playing games. I just had one with highest and best. The two top offers, Phil, one was 140,000 over the other offer that was 50,000. So the highest was 190,000 over, and then the other one. So you know what I did, because I didn't believe the 190,000 over. I called them both up. I said, "Congratulations, you're at a tie. I'm not going to tell you what the tie is, but you and the other buyers are both receiving contracts. Whoever signs the deposit doesn't make a change and gets it done, gets the deal." That was not a house.
They were in a tie in the sense that they were both over asking.
They were in the tie in the sense they were the two highest, period. You know? So
but what's the contract going to say? What price is going to be on the contract?
They each had their own price, and the one that was 140,000 over the other one backed out. And we went and
so you shamed the devil.
Mm-hmm. And I had an attorney willing to do it. That's not always the case. Attorneys aren't always willing to do that.
Well, how you word these things and the obligation of, honesty and transparency has to be in there.
100% transparent. Right. Everybody knew. And then.
So we need to say this at this point. We're using a lot of shorthand because we don't fib and we're kind of cutting to the chase. We're summarizing these things. I
disclosed to both parties that there was no accepted offer.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not getting a memo from me. The accepted offer is the signed contract. Whoever sends a deposit, that is the accepted offer, and then we will do a memo.
Okay. So and you're doing that with
the one agent's head spinning, and she hates me, and I'm the devil, but she has a good manager and broker who called me and said, "What's going on?" I explained it all, and she said, "Makes total sense to me."
Yeah. This will not last, this current market that we're in. And there has to be some sort of reconciliation with all the pissed off agents when the dust settles and we return to a more balanced market.
Well, they got Zillow to be pissed off at now, so we're good. They'll say, "Oh, I forget that deal I did with Jenn."
We'll get to that shortly. I want to say this, though. Some of the agents you don't need to reconcile with later because when the market turns, they'll be out of the business again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're one of the few industries where people literally could not be in this business. Like, can you imagine being a doctor and maybe he won't be a doctor next year? Or can you imagine now I know there's, a lot more involved to being a doctor, but establishing a real estate practice is not a walk in the park either. All right. It's not like we just come in and, we're a Tupperware distributor and we just paid our $50 and here's our samples. This is a real thing to get involved with.
You know that Sue Adler did that she was like, $100 million whatever producer in one town in a state.
In Philadelphia.
Yeah, she moved
and she met the love of her life, and she moved to New Jersey. And best practices are best practices, and she dominates the market in Short Hills, New Jersey.
Yep,
we love Sue.
Yeah.
All right, so they have Zillow to hate. I will reiterate: Zillow is the pox upon us for doing something that we did wrong when we were young. We've clearly done something wrong as an industry, and the gods have sent Zillow to punish us. I might be being slightly sarcastic. Slightly. But do you think a good agent should be worried about Zillow?
No, you already know how I feel about that. It's crazy.
Okay.
I said it. You either used it to help build your business, or you didn't use it. It didn't harm you, or
Okay. All
in my
right.
opinion.
What do you think about the Zestimate being Zillow's standing offer to anybody that wants a cash offer for their house?
Well, I think the more that we're out there screaming and yelling about how easy it is to sell a house right now, the more people we are sending to Zillow. So maybe you want to stop. Maybe you should stop underpricing so you get 31 bidders and you make it seem like it's just an easy task, realtors, if you're listening and you're out there. We're sending our own clients to Zillow because we're literally acting as if what Zillow is doing has anything to do with what we do. If we think we're still in the information game, you're wrong. We lost, but that's okay. That's okay.
So,
there is so much more to what we offer than what Zillow does. So build your community, people.
all right. So listen to this. I just opened LinkedIn, and the first thing I found was Rich Barton's post today. You know who Rich Barton is?
He's some CEO of
Zillow.
Zillow. Thank you.
Yes. Where the Zestimate, and I'm quoting from his post, is now an initial cash offer for eligible homes in more than 20 cities nationwide. All right. Now let's deconstruct that statement really quick with what I know from being on their agent advisory board for about 10 years. Okay. The Zestimate is now an initial cash offer. It's an initial offer. That's disclaimer number one. For eligible homes, that's disclaimer number two. Do you know what makes a home eligible? It has to be built after 1960, last time I looked.
Oh, wow.
All right. In more than 20 cities nationwide. How many cities are there in this? How many markets are there in this country?
Tens of thousands.
Like hundreds. There's hundreds of census designated markets, or whatever you want to call it, right? What they're doing in a very, very small sector of the market is they're using the Zestimate as an initial offer. Guess who they're going to send out to look at the property?
Realtor.
They're going to send a partner agent, not unlike you or me, to go look at the property. And they're going to send out also, I believe, a contractor. Now, they may only send a contractor, but I think they send an agent. And they may only send an agent, but I think they send a contractor too, to assess what they can really do. And if it's really that far off from this estimate, then we have a whole nother scrum, right? But if the garden variety agent, let's suppose, let's pick middle America, Provo, Utah, Peoria, right? Peoria, Illinois. All right. You're a good agent. Probably Zillow's not doing this in your market. And probably if you're a good agent, even if they are doing it in your market, how many houses are they going to buy? 5, 10? How many houses sell in your market a month, a week, a day, a year? How many houses is Zillow going to buy in every market?
Probably not very many.
They can't possibly saturate the market any more than, say, for sale by owners.
What are they going to do with the houses?
I'm glad you asked me that. This was not rehearsed. This is not scripted. But you know what they do? They fix them up and they resell them. And do you know who they list them with?
Realtors.
Well, actually, for their own houses, they have their own in-house agent. But up until that announcement was made recently, they were listing them with partner agents around the country. So for homes they own, they will list them themselves. And that is, by the way, as I recall, all these people that are beating their chest about property rights and everything like that, that is their right to do since they own the house. If
By
you
the
want
way,
the house,
and all they're doing is yet again, and I've been saying for almost a full year, for when the market kind of opened up again, let's say in May, June, right? That there's a huge segment of people that we are not reaching who do not want to put their house on the market.
Yeah.
There were people like that pre-COVID, okay, which is why you've had your ads that worked and everybody else had, because there's this whole segment of people who don't want to put their house on the market. And guess what, realtors? You're not finding out who they are. And so Zillow's doing it for you. And you could still do that. You would be competing with Zillow, which is okay, because as far as I know, there's a lot of people who would rather do business with an independent person, even if you're not with an independent brokerage. But it's just, once again, a third party taking advantage of what you are not doing. What are you pissed off at?
This is true. By the way, we are not saying, and you know me better than to think this, that we shouldn't take Zillow seriously, because
we should take all competition seriously.
Everybody seriously.
However, at the same time, as an individual agent, if you stop worrying, listen, when I was an agent, nobody even knew who I worked for. Now I'm in ownership.
They do now.
They did that. What? They do now.
They work now.
Yes, but they didn't forever. And because I didn't worry about but Houlihan's this and Coldwell's that and Zillow's this. I just got up every day and did my job.
All right. There is a very well distributed photograph, I believe, of a guy swimming in a lane right next to Michael Phelps.
Mm-hmm.
And Phelps is looking ahead. I think they're doing the butterfly, and the guy in second place is looking at Phelps. All right. It is better for us to look ahead than to pay an inordinate amount of attention to what our competition is doing. You can lose a lot of sleep worrying about what Zillow's doing, what about the market leader is doing in your town, what the big super duper team is doing in your town, or what the latest lawsuit is that NAR is fighting with whatever Department of Justice issue.
But this is a broker issue. Honestly, unless you want to be a broker, which I don't know why most people would want to be a broker. But if you do want to be a broker, then it's something you need to worry about. But if you want to be an agent and you just want to build a big book of business, then you need to make sure you're with a company who is up to date on what the competition doing and what the brokerages are doing and what the vendors are doing and what the blah, blah, blah. So you don't have to worry about it. And so it just strikes me. We have even some of our own agents who are like, Zillow. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We have to talk people off the ledge all the time. Worth mentioning that what you were referring to, let me see if I can go back to this. The people who are, the top of the food chain in real estate is not brokers. The top of the food chain are big, successful team leaders, because you've got essentially a mini brokerage under you without the brokerage's overhead and liability.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about a business model is you can be a broker within a broker who doesn't have to worry about taking out the garbage.
So the broker is the one that has to empty the garbage and do all the compliance and make sure that all the bills are paid and everything like that. And the overhead is, it's a little higher than if you're a team leader. Because not everything has ROI. There's not ROI on rent. There's not ROI on the utility bill. I've been paying rent on one office and the utilities. I've been paying rent on one office, rent and utilities on another office. You have rent and utilities in your office. And how much of the square footage has really been utilized the past year?
Please. None. Zero.
Well, yeah, nothing. Nothing. But we're alive. We're alive and healthy, so we got that going for us. It was a loss leader. So is this? I think we're close to done. Is there something else?
I think you had something else, but we can always be.
What did we say?
Done. Let's see.
We're not scripted.
Oh, inventory. So we kind of covered that.
Inventory's low.
Yeah.
Inventory's low because rates are low, and the people that are living in houses already who might otherwise sell have refinanced into incredibly low mortgages.
And if
So
you're
there's,
on the fence about selling, we can protect you. You don't.
they don't know where they're going to move.
Your house. Yeah. But no one's going to force you out of your house. If you have the right broker and the right attorney on your team, you're in good hands.
Subject to obtaining suitable property comes to mind. Maybe we'll talk about that more next week. I don't know.
I think so.
I got you to admit you've done bidding wars. It's just like me admitting, you know what? Most of the time, I'm dressed like a dude.
It's the same thing. You know how
But there was one time or two where I may not have dressed like a dude.
Yeah, I have those photos. But it's also just like me saying, I don't believe in giving feedback. We talked about that last week, and I have people that hate me because of it. And I'm
we need to have a feedback episode.
Oh my God. They still hate me because I'm like, why? And this is the exact market where it makes the most sense because they end up coming back. I don't hate that house. Smells, blah, blah, boom. There's nothing. They end up coming back.
So did I tell you about the most interesting feedback I got on my feedback once from about 10 years ago? It was the Bayes house. I told you about this house.
I don't think so.
We walked into this house. It was in Eastchester. We walked into this house and it was a Cape Cod. And the living room, floor to ceiling, was vases. It's like the guy was a vase collector. And we went upstairs, and they had converted one of the bedrooms to a home office. And in the home office, this is how long ago it was, the computer to monitor was like a big cube. It was like a big, not like a flat monitor, it was a big computer monitor. And there was a mug, a coffee mug, that said, "World's Greatest Mortician."
Oh, yeah, you did tell me.
So we very gingerly walked out of the house because we were wondering if we weren't in, like, you know, the mausoleum for the slow and no payers. You want grandma? Yeah, you're paying me, pal. Or else she's in my living room. Yeah. How does that work? I never knew. So I sent the feedback like, you either want to ditch the vases or the coffee mug. I'd suggest the coffee mug. And she was so insulted. Oh. The agent was so insulted. Like, that's the definition of passive aggressive. You do the thing, right? And then you get upset when people react to the thing. Like, the house is a mausoleum.
That's what we can talk about next week too, is all these like agents just ready to pounce.
Yeah, there's a lot of anger.
We gotta have like a retreat, agents.
There's a lot of anger. Like from Pretty Woman, Richard Gere saying, I was in therapy for 10 years so I could admit that I was very angry. I was very angry.
We love
Pretty Woman. You should rent it.
Pretty Woman? I've only seen it like 11 times.
Right? When Richard Gere says, I was very angry.
I was very angry.
Yes, I was very angry.
Love Richard Gere. All right. Well, tune in next Monday, 3:30. If you have any topics you want us to hit, nobody is safe.
Nothing is too sacred.
Thank you.